What's going on YouTube? TeamSC back online here. Got another video for you guys this evening. Today we're going to be discussing all the balance changes to the Protoss race since patch 3.8. So for those of you who have not been following, patch 3.8 released about a week ago, and since then everything has changed. All three races got major balance changes done to them, and I did some videos earlier on in the year when they first announced the changes, but as you can see, not everything that they said was going to happen did happen, but a lot of it did, and even some of the stuff that did happen got some tweaks to it. So as of last week, these are the official changes. So let me go ahead and get started and talk to you about what all got changed with this latest patch. So anyways, first change on the list is the Zealot. He got a small change, which is actually pretty nice. So now once you research charge, not only does he get the charge strike ability, which lets him kind of engage the enemies quicker, he actually gets a speed buff to his normal movement speed. So the Zealot does normally move at 3.15. With the speed buff he goes up to 4.13, and they were actually experimenting during the, I guess, beta or balanced test map changes. The initial speed buff for him was 3.85, but they actually increased it again, so now officially he gets 4.13 speed after that upgrade, and that's huge. That's like a 25% speed boost, and with the Cyclone speed nerf, it actually lets Zealots kind of keep up with Cyclones and kind of get in their face. I'm pretty sure that's what they were thinking in mind with the Zealot, because the Zealot's kind of a counter to the Cyclone now. And pretty much I like this change, so hopefully we'll see a lot more Zealots getting used. They kind of gave him a little buff because the Adepts were kind of outshining the Zealots in most areas, but now I think the Adepts have got their health nerfed a little bit, and also a couple other nerfs we'll talk about, but this is a good place. We'll see a lot more Zealot play. Definitely excited for this, guys. Next on the list, I guess we'll talk about the Adepts since I kind of introduced him. Not the biggest change. He got a small nerf to his shade ability. As you can tell, you send the shade out, and it used to actually have a vision range of 9, so you could actually see a lot of what's going on, but they nerfed it to 2, so as you can see, you can only see like a little bubble from where the shade's at. So this is going to make the Adepts not as good for scouting, not as good at seeing what's all around them, but all in all, not the biggest change. I don't think it'll impact gameplay too much. Another change on the list is the Warp Prism, also kind of minute. They did debuff the health. It used to have 100 health, 100 shields. Now the Warp Prism only has 80 health and 100 shields. So we lost about 20 health points. I guess they thought the Warp Prism was a little bit too strong for harassing. They're kind of hard to take down, especially once you get the speed buff. The Warp Prism's pretty quick, and as you can tell, it does have a long range where it can pick up units from. So hopefully this will make dealing with Warp Prism harass a little easier for the other races, and I guess not as overpowered as they had deemed it. But I don't think this will make the biggest of changes, guys. So we covered our ground troops. Now we'll talk about the sky troops, because these got the biggest, most impactful changes, if I don't say so myself. Oh, actually, I forgot. We'll talk about the DT here in a second, too. Void Ray got a little buff to his speed, guys. Speed used to be 3.5, or 3.15, excuse me. Now it's 3.5, which to me seems kind of silly, but I guess this is the thing. Like, Void Rays never get used in, like, 1v1s, but in 3v3, so many people like to just sit back and mass Void Rays. So this is going to make dealing with Void Rays a lot more annoying, guys. But hopefully we'll see some Void Ray play in 1v1s now that they got the speed buff, so they're not as easy to kill. They can kind of get in, get out, and do a little bit more damage. But on team games, this is going to be annoying as heck, so look out for that. Sky Toss continues to be annoying. Next on the list is Mr. Carrier himself. Now, he did get some pretty significant changes. They took away the release interceptor ability, so you can no longer go up to the enemy base, release all your interceptors, and then just run home. But they reduced the interceptor cost to 5 minerals, guys. Interceptors used to cost 25 minerals to build, and now they only cost 5. And on top of that, once you build one out of the Stargate, they automatically begin to build their interceptors. So, long story short, the carrier is kind of back to its old breed war state. What they wanted to do with this is kind of encourage more carrier micro and not just kind of run up to the enemy base, click, release interceptors, and then run away. So hopefully we'll see more carriers used. I know I've been seeing a lot on ladder these last couple of days. Everyone wants to go for mass carriers, and they're honestly kind of annoying to deal with, but we'll get to that later. We'll see some games, guys. I'll show you guys some games. The DT, he did get the Shadow Strike ability, that highly experimental change they were talking about. Over here in the Dark Shrine, you can now research Shadow Strike, or Shadow Stride, excuse me, and it essentially just gives the Dark Templar the blink ability that Stalkers have. So with this, they want to encourage more Dark Templar play, and they want Dark Templars to still have like some utility in the late game, so maybe you can go up, harass a base, and then kind of blink down. I could show the animation, but it's really not too much to see if you know what Stalker Blink does. It's kind of the same thing, but with a puff of smoke. Last on the list is the Tempest. Now this one got the major redesign. It's not even the old Tempest anymore. Now as far as air to air, the Tempest is still good at dealing with air units, and especially massive ones like battle cruisers, motherships, things like that. So his air weapon didn't get touched, but his ground weapon got a huge change. Damage buffed from 30 to 35. That's not the big change. His range has been decreased. It's now only a range of 8. Before Tempest used to have a range of 15, guys. So pretty much this is kind of all in an attempt to help make mech more viable, especially against Protoss. Because usually if you go mech, like you get a couple Thors, you get some tanks, whatever. The Protoss all it really has to do is make a couple of Tempests, and they're usually okay. Even if the Thors like try to attack the Tempests outrange the Thors and still do real good damage to ground. So it was a pain in the ass for any mech Terran player to deal with Tempests. So they changed the Tempest ability, so hopefully this is going to help mech be more viable and the Tempest won't be as much of a one-sided counter against mech compositions. But to kind of compensate for this, they actually gave the Tempest a new ability called the Disruption Blast. Now this ability takes 4 seconds to cast, and it'll stun enemy units in the affected area for up to 7 seconds. Now this means not just enemy units, but like structures as well, guys. So like missile turrets, any static defenses, if you drop one of these disruption blasts on it, they're going to be completely useless for 7 seconds. So this ability is actually, I think they kind of intended it to be used for like siege tank lines and mech compositions. So in a weird way, the Tempest is still okay against mech, because especially siege lines, you want to use a disruption blast to kind of deal with those, or force tanks and stuff to unsiege. So I don't know, I haven't had a chance to really try out this ability. It is exciting. Let me actually go ahead and showcase it real quick. As you can tell, it does have a 4-second cast time, so the enemy team does have a decent amount of time to actually get their units out of there and avoid being stunned. And I think even when they're stunned, you can actually still continue to attack them. It's not like the stasis stun with the Oracle. So luckily for me, I do actually have a huge, gigantic Sky Toss fleet. If you guys play Protoss, I'm sure you love it when your army looks like this. If you guys don't play Sky Toss, I'm sure you hate to see this coming across the map and getting to your base. But anyways, let's go ahead and showcase these new carriers and these Tempest abilities, and see if we can wreck some shop on this very easy Zerg AI. He'll probably GG after this, guys. So actually, you know, I don't even want to like use this whole army yet. I'm just going to bring these Tempests out here and see if we can just like stun some stuff. So like you can even like use this on like worker lines, guys. So like, as you can see, couple seconds. It does take a long time, so everybody has time to move out, and actually once everything is stunned, you can actually still kill them, guys. That's kind of ridiculous. So everything gets stunned and then everything can actually be attacked. So Tempest is still okay against ground units, guys. They're definitely not down for the count. So definitely interesting ability. I haven't really seen this utilized too much yet. It seems most people have been going for Void Rays and carriers and not so much the Tempest. Oh, one other thing on the Tempest. They did change its supply count. He now costs 6 supply, guys. He used to cost 4, which I always thought was ridiculous because the Tempest is this like big meaty, look at that, like 300 health, 150 shields, 450 total. Only cost 4 supply before. Now they cost 6, which makes sense because before Cyclones used to cost 4 supply, and those things were like super weak, dude. Like 120 health for a 4 supply Cyclone versus 450 health for a 4 supply Tempest. So I definitely agree with this change. It's definitely going to make a Tempest not too easy to mass. So I think they're going to be more like you want to have a couple just kind of cover against any big air threats, or to have that ability so you can cast. So they're more of like a weird caster, long range anti-air siege, but also can do damage to ground and stuff. So we'll see. Hopefully I'll play a couple games to kind of showcase this ability for you guys. There's just too much to talk about, guys. Big changes for Overwatch, big changes for Starcraft. I'm only one man. I can only crank out so much content, but I'm going to be working on it, guys. So let me know what you think. If you like this video, please leave a like. If I forgot to mention anything, please leave a comment. And if you want to see more, please subscribe to the channel and help grow the Team Game Starcraft community. Alright, guys, until next time.